Ever found yourself in one of those arguments where, well, you just feel like you're hitting a brick wall, like you're not even speaking the same language?
No, definitely. We've all been there. It's incredibly frustrating.
Right. Well, welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we do the heavy lifting, sorting through sources to bring you the insights that matter.
And today we're jumping right into the whole art and science of arguing effectively.
Exactly. We're drawing from mastering argument, techniques and strategies, and also Mehdi Hasan's win every argument. The goal, to figure out how to make your points actually, land.
And we know you, the listener, you're busy.
Mm-hmm.
You want the key takeaway, stuff you can actually put into practice, not just like abstract theory.
That's the plan. This is your shortcut to understanding how to build strong arguments, figure out your audience, and handle those tricky counter-arguments. We're basically looking at a seasoned arguer's playbook here.
Okay, so first off, the sources really stress how fundamental argument is. It's not just about winning for the sake of it.
Right, there's something deeper going on.
Yeah, it's presented as like vital for democracy, for getting closer to the truth even. And just practically speaking, it helps in your career, your life generally.
Makes sense. Improves things day to day. I think Hasan quotes Churchill, right? Calling oratory a precious gift.
He does, a gift that can outlast rulers even. And then there's that John Stuart Mill idea, which Hasan's father apparently really emphasized.
What was that again?
Basically, that you only really understand your own argument when you can properly take apart the other side's points. You need that kind of 360-degree view.
Okay, so you've thought through your argument, you've even considered the other side. But who are you actually talking to? This seems crucial.
Oh, absolutely critical. Knowing your audience, the sources call them the judge and jury. You have to understand them.
And there's that great story Hasan tells, the Krukers example.
Yes, that one really illustrates it. The audience was mostly elderly, white, conservative.
And the topic wasn't exactly straightforward for them, right? Abu Qatada.
No, not at all. A figure labeled, bin Laden's spiritual ambassador.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect much sympathy there.
So what did Hasan do? How did he connect?
He completely reframed it. Didn't focus so much on Qatada himself, but connected the whole deportation debate back to the Magna Carta.
Ah, so tapping into their sense of history, English heritage, fundamental rights.
Exactly. He found that shared value, that core principle, even on a really contentious issue, it shows you've got to do that homework, that legwork beforehand.
It really highlights understanding the audience's values, not just demographics. And that first impression, the opening, that's got to be strong too, right?
Absolutely. Forget the long wind-ups. Start with something punchy, unexpected, like Jamie Oliver's TED Talk.
Oh yeah, the statistic about food-related deaths in the U.S. right off the bat.
Bam! Grabs you instantly. Or asking a provocative question, something that creates what Akash Kaparia calls a knowledge gap. Makes people curious.
Makes them lean in, want to know the answer. So that first sentence really has to count.
Definitely. But okay, you've grabbed their attention, now you have to keep it. And that means connecting.
On a human level, you mean, not just firing facts at them.
Right. Things like making eye contact. Fia Fassbinder says it makes people feel heard, acknowledged.
And avoiding just rooting off notes or slides. The classic death by presentation.
Ugh, yes. People want to connect with you. They want to feel like you see them.
Okay, now this is interesting. The role of emotion. Pathos.
Yeah.
Even when you're laying out a logical case, logos.
Yeah, this is key. They're not opposed. In fact, emotions are crucial for making rational decisions. Think about Damasio's patient, Elliot.
The real-life Mr. Spock.
That's the one. He could process facts perfectly, logically, but couldn't make decisions. Why? No emotional input. He knew, but he couldn't feel.
Wow. So logic isn't enough. You need that emotional resonance to actually move people to act or decide.
Precisely. And storytelling is huge here. That idea of brain-to-brain coupling.
Where the story literally syncs up the speakers' and listeners' brains.
Yeah, studies show it. It plants ideas, emotions directly. Think about powerful stories like Raif Badawi or that devastating photo of Amal Hussein in Yemen.
They create an immediate emotional impact that statistics alone just can't match.
Exactly. Or even just using vigorous, evocative language like descriptions of the Ukraine invasion. It connects emotionally.
And thinking about politicians, Bush Senior's passionate defense of the death penalty versus Dukakis's very cool, detached response.
Yeah.
Emotion made a difference there.
Definitely. But it has to be authentic emotion. Like Hasan showing genuine anger in that Oxford Union debate about Islam. It can be powerful.
But it's not just emotion, right? There's that analogy.
Paul Jones's tricycle. Pathos, logos, ethos, emotion, logic, credibility. You need all three wheels turning together. Emotion might open the door, but logic and credibility keep you inside.
Okay, let's talk more about logos then. Logic, evidence. It's fundamental, timeless. And Hasan's receipt technique comes up a lot.
Yes, the receipts. It's all about having that concrete proof, that verifiable evidence.
Like when he questioned John Bolton about his ties to the MEK, the financial links he hadn't disclosed.
Exactly. Having that specific information, that receipt, completely undermined Bolton's position in that moment. It showed the research was done.
Or confronting Otto Reich with his own past statements about the Contras.
Yeah.
That must have been uncomfortable.
Very. It just shuts down wiggle room when you have their own words or documented facts. It's not just about opinions anymore.
And it works against narratives too, like with Dan Crenshaw on border numbers using data.
Right. Countering claims with actual evidence. And it's not just for politicians. Even challenging respected experts like Steven Pinker requires having your own meticulously checked facts, your own receipts. You build a case.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to something, well, maybe a bit more controversial. Playing the person. Ethos, and specifically ad hominem arguments.
Yes. Traditionally, it's seen as a logical fallacy, right? Attacking the person, not the argument.
But the sources here suggest, maybe it's more complicated, that there's a rhetorical use for it.
Exactly. While you shouldn't dismiss an argument just because of who's making it, sometimes challenging their credibility, their ethos is relevant. Bruce Thompson makes the point. The reliability of the source matters.
So there are different kinds, like abusive, just straight up attacking reputation.
Yeah, though even some philosophers say that can be defensible sometimes. Then circumstantial pointing out bias, conflicts of interest.
Like the fossil fuel funding example for climate studies.
Perfect example. Or finding out an ordinary mom arguing against CRT is actually a former GOP operative. That context matters.
And the third type.
To quote, the "you too" argument. Pointing out hypocrisy, like a politician attacking something they used to support.
So Ellen Britton's point is keys see it as a rhetorical tool, not just a logical error.
Right. It's about persuasion, raising doubts, exposing bias, putting them on the defensive. It can be effective.
And the examples help. Questioning Dr. Gandhi's past pandemic predictions that directly hits her credibility on that specific topic.
Or Hasan going after the Daily Mail for that smear against Ed Miliband's father, attacking the publication's integrity.
But it's risky, isn't it? It can blow back on you.
Oh, definitely. They might hit back with your own past issues, accuse you of mudslinging, or use their own ad hominem attack. Cicero even advised attacking back as self-defense. It's high stakes. Get it wrong, and your credibility suffers.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about talking. What about listening? Hemingway's quote is pretty stark. Most people never listen.
It really is. And that image of George H.W. Bush checking his watch while a voter is sharing something personal about the national debt.
Compared to Clinton leaning in, asking, tell me how it's affected you.
Huge difference in perception. Listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk, it's active. Absorbing, processing, understanding. Like hearing a weird noise from your car engine, you listen closely for what it means.
And critical listening helps you catch things, right?
Absolutely. 3 big things. False claims, outright lies, or inaccuracies. Hasan mentions catching these all the time in live debates just by paying attention.
Okay, what else?
Fallacious arguments, spotting the flawed reasoning. And third, hidden assumptions, the unspoken beliefs their whole argument rests on.
Plus, it just makes people feel heard, respected. Like Mandela connecting with his prison guards. That takes real listening.
Yeah, and even in debates, like Hasan on Question Time after Charlie Hebdo, he listened to the underlying fear, acknowledged the shared outrage first. It disarmed the opposition's frame.
Or catching Melanie Phillips boasting about gay rights in Israel during a debate on Zionism, then challenging her own record on LGBTQ+ issues.
Yeah.
That comes from listening closely.
Right. Okay, moving on to a technique that sounds simple, but it's surprisingly powerful. The rule of 3.
Presenting things in threes.
Yeah, it's everywhere when you look for it. Steve Jobs launching the iPhone, 3 revolutionary products, his Stanford speech, 3 stories.
Martin Luther King Jr. speech, too.
Yeah.
3 groups. Free at last 3 times.
There's something about it. Cognitive psychology suggests our brains like patterns, and 3 feels complete, memorable. George Miller's magical number 7 ± 2 touches on short-term memory capacity. 3 fits nicely.
Easier to grasp than, say, 7 points. and it feels finished. Like Tony Blair's education, education, education.
Exactly. That third repetition signals closure. Clark breaks it down. Use it for power, comparison, or completeness. Structuring arguments or key takeaways in threes just makes them stick.
Makes sense. Okay, next tactic. Thinking like a judo fighter, using their energy against them.
Yeah, instead of a head-on collision, you sometimes concede a point strategically.
To build trust, maybe. Like, it's like, okay, you have a point here.
Precisely. Jay Heinrichs talks about this. It builds credibility, shows you're reasonable, then you pivot to your stronger counter-argument. But here's where that falls down. Hasan did this in the anti-Zionism debate, conceding nuances first.
And the flip side is preemption. Getting there before they do.
Right. Attacking their likely arguments before they even raise them. Like in the Saudi Arabia debate, Hasan tackled the expected whataboutism right at the start.
Or even just reframing the whole debate, like he did with Chris Cuomo about the Bernie Bros thing, challenging the premise itself. It's agile.
Very. Now, for something with a bit more punch, the zinger.
Ah, the killer line. The retort that just lands perfectly.
Exactly. Like Benson to Quayle. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy? Oof. It can define a moment.
Chris Lamb says they can seem cruel, but they establish who's intellectually dominant, right?
They can, yeah. Timing is everything, though. Like Hasan quickly correcting David Starkey's mispronunciation of his name during that tense exchange. It was swift, sharp.
And you can prepare them. Setting traps with pass quotes.
Oh, yeah. Hasan interviewing Michael Flynn, using Flynn's own passwords against him. That's a prepared trap.
And the booby trap question? Like Hitchens asking Heston about Iraq's neighbors?
Or Hasan asking Zhang Weiwei about Tibetan deaths. Or Paul Collier about the indigenous British. Questions designed to expose ignorance or force an uncomfortable admission. Surprise is key.
Okay, we have to talk about the Gish Gallop. It feels very current.
Right, just overwhelming your opponent with a flood of claims, often dubious ones. Trump's name comes up here.
He's definitely a notable user of it. The goal isn't accuracy. It's to overwhelm, create an illusion of knowledge, and make a point-by-point rebuttal impossible in the moment. Named after Duane Gish, the creationist debater.
So how do you even deal with that? It sounds exhausting.
You absolutely do not try to refute everything. That's playing their game.
So what do you do?
Pick one or two key falsehoods, the most blatant ones, and debunk those thoroughly. Show the audience the pattern of misinformation. Jonathan Swan did this well with Trump on COVID data.
And call it out. Name the tactic.
Yes. Call out the Gish Gallop directly. And if you can anticipate the likely flood of nonsense, prepare specific counters beforehand, like Hasan's team did before interviewing Stephen Rogers. Wow, okay. So many techniques. But underlying all of this, there's got to be confidence, right?
Absolutely fundamental. Virginia Woolf. Without self-confidence, we are as babes in the cradle. It's that trust in yourself. Richard Branson said confidence breeds confidence.
And it's not just something you have or don't have. You can build it.
Definitely. Visualizing success helps studies show this works for surgeons, gymnasts, surrounding yourself with positive people. And Amy Cuddy's fake it till you become it, power posing, adopting confident body language actually influences how you feel.
And using your voice effectively. Breathing from the diaphragm, speaking clearly, good posture, pausing.
All of that projects confidence, and controlling your emotions is huge. Think of Hasan smiling calmly while Majid Nawaz was trying to bait him. Deep breaths, positive self-talk. These are tools.
The confidence needs substance behind it. Practice.
Oh, massively. Demosthenes, Cicero the Greats practiced relentlessly. How you deliver your message hugely impacts how it's received. Churchill practiced constantly.
So record yourself. Analyze your delivery.
Yes. See your own expressions, your body language. Even read kids' books aloud to practice pitch and tone. It takes time, real commitment. Hasan talks about prepping for hours, even for short TV hits.
Which brings us to the bedrock.
Yeah.
Doing the homework.
Can't skip this. Jonathan Dimbleby. Clarity plus facts. You need the knowledge. You have to put in the work.
And I mean serious research, right? Not just a quick Google.
Go beyond page 1, find those obscure sources, use Wikipedia, smartly follow the citations, double-check everything, question sources, like Hasan did with Danny Eilon on those UN resolutions.
And maybe steel manning. Thinking through the strongest version of the opponent's argument.
That's excellent preparation. Anticipate everything. Know the subject inside out.
Okay, so we've built the case, delivered it confidently. Now, the ending. The grand finale, it has to stick.
Absolutely crucial. The peroration. Don't end with a whimper. It needs to be strong, memorable.
Is there a formula?
A good one involves repetition. Recap your main points. Denounce the opposing side's arguments clearly. And call back to your opening. Hasan did this in the Saudi Arabia debate conclusion.
Tie it all together.
Exactly. End with a punch. A powerful statement, a provocative question, a call to action. Leave them thinking.
Right. So that was quite the deep dive. We've covered, well, everything from really getting your audience
To connecting emotionally, backing it up with logic, and those crucial receipts.
navigating tricky things like ad hominem, the absolute power of listening,
Using structures like the rule of three, the judo moves of concession and preemption,
landing zingers, dealing with the gish gallop,
building confidence, the sheer necessity of practice and hard research.
and finally, nailing that strong conclusion.
It's a whole toolkit, really, drawn from timeless rhetoric and modern experience. Hopefully tools you, our learner, can use effectively in all sorts of situations.
Definitely food for thought. And maybe one final thing to mull over. How do these principles hold up or maybe change in our super fast, digital, often online world of arguments? Something to consider as you put these ideas into practice.